What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Secret Storm on Lock and Load. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Lock and Load is the map where we have to capture 5 specific points on the map called locks. To capture a lock, both players need to have a unit standing on the lock simultaneously for 20 seconds uncontested by the enemy to turn it green. If the enemy stands on a lock uncontested for 10 seconds, it turns red and starts a timer bar that ticks as long as it remains uncontested and fills faster the more uncontested locks he has. If the bar reaches full, we lose. Extra enemy waves drop on top of us. Tornadoes throw our dudes around and everything is cloaked.
Alright, so Stixbender and Herman are on the call with us today. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Alright,
Great.
fantastic. So, Herman, how are we going to rank the commanders this week?
So obviously there are drops and cloaked. The other mutator doesn't matter a lot. So this map is really easy, lock and load. So I really recommend just the commanders that can push really fast and can force your ally to come to the locks.
Yes.
Will have a lot of bonus points.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and detection is really important for this week. So for commanders that doesn't have a good detection, well, maybe he or she will be below A tier, I guess. Yeah, but it will depend. Yes.
How about you, Stixbender?
Yeah, it's basically can you wave clear and also can you see? That's the
Yes.
mutation.
Let's begin. Abathur, where do we have him?
You can still do the luring part, because you have your spore crawler there, and you can see the enemy. But when you lift it up, like when you just climb it up, you won't have detection. So well, it's a little bit annoying, but it's not really. And your ultimate evolutions have supplies, so the drops will aim your brutalists, so you can just
You're
kill
fine.
them. And just don't forget to have an overseer, and I think it will be fine for Abathur.
Might want to have
I
several,
would say.
so that it doesn't get
Yeah,
sniped.
just have some. Yes, don't only have one. Because sometimes the Amon know how to snipe the detection unit. Yes, so you want to have like at least 2 with you. So I would say Abathur is like a A tier. Yes.
How about you, Stixbender?
Yeah, Abathur should be fine. If you're not using the ultimate evolution route, then your early game typically is the couple of spines into getting all your roaches and the mutas. You just add spore crawlers to that so you can see. And then on that, that's the same thing as normal. Get a bunch of overseers to go with your muta ball, and yeah, should be pretty easy and straightforward.
Yes. The only thing I would add here is if you have that ally who just throws his whole army at the bonus and then loses, you might want to add a Viper. Just 1 or 2 Vipers, just so you can pull either a worker or an overlord to the locks to force your ally to be there. Just saying.
Yeah.
I also initially had him in B because not everyone can do luring. But both of you guys say A?
Yeah, I think if you
I'm not confident about A.
Oh, I think like what Stixbender says, like if you don't do a luring, it'll still be fine. Like just spores and spines,
So what do you guys say?
for early game.
I think against the bad comp, then Abathur's just gonna have a really, really, really bad early game.
So he's comp dependent.
Yeah, just a little bit,
Oh,
and just for the early game.
yeah, I
So-
think Ultimate Evolution is pretty good here.
Well, even against like if you're against, remember, right? You know what happens when you are against Immortals when you Brutalist Crush, you become sad and your Brutals stop existing.
Yeah. But Immortal is in like I would say like 9-minute drop. Like it's like maybe 11 minutes. So...
Yeah, but that's about when I'd say that's about when the average person is getting 3 Brutalists. So
Okay. Yeah. B is fine. Yeah, B is also fine for me.
All right.
he's maybe a bit more realistic because just he has a few comps that could just there's a few whatever strategy you go for with Abathur, there are a few comps that are going to be rather painful if your ally isn't doing anything.
All right. So B if you're any other prestige, but C if you're a 3rd prestige. Alarak, where do we have him?
So Alarak's hero can kill stuff without seeing it by the power of waving his arms. That will kill things that he cannot see. His detection comes from a warp gate, so that's pretty good. I mean, you can just conjure detection, which is always nice.
Yes.
And
And the detector is also cloaked.
yes, detector is also cloaked. Yeah. And Ascendants, same deal, can, Psy-orb things without even having to see them, so you don't have to worry about detection if you just Psy-orb into a living. The only problem is that aggressive deployment can drop lots of high burst damage units, especially Banelings, onto your backline of expensive, squishy damage units, and then you're going to have a bad day.
So just go destroyers or something? I don't know.
Yeah,
Or
you
you can
can
also go Force
Scourge.
Field.
It's no matter what, a mean comp dropping on top of your head is going to cost you significant casualty counts. Despite that, Alarak is he's got a very stable early game, so he's possibly A, maybe B only. It's a very stable early game against a few specific comps. The late game could get bumpy, but not necessarily.
How about you, Herman?
I thought he can be A tier because if you're using P3, after you're dealing with your drops, you can actually teleport to your ally to deal with his drops. Or you can also just overcharge your ally or your structures to help kill the drops if you can see them. I would say if the AI comp is not really anti-air or doesn't have a lot of AoE, you just go mass destroyers. Otherwise, just use Ascendance. It will be fine. Yeah, it will be fine for Alarak.
So A or B?
I thought it's A. Yes, A.
Are you okay with A, Stickspender?
Yes, I did say that, yes.
All right. I was the only one who was thinking B. Both of you say A, so A, I'll go with A. Arcturus, where do we have him?
So Minsk has bunkers and missile turrets. Missile turrets are detection structures, and your bunker is really good, and you can have some flame troopers if there are Lings or Zealot. I think just defend the central locks and start building ESOs. It will be fine for Minsk, and you can also use contaminant strike to shred the attack waves. They will be there and they just contaminant strike there, and they will just disappear. Yes,
Makes sense.
Yes,
Letter.
I think Minsk can be S tier just because of that. But you need time to set up though, because if you're using the troopers to build the ESOs, your trooper can be aimed by drops.
What do you think, Sticksbender?
There's a strong argument for Minsk and S tier. There are, however, some other people who I think are just a little too good to let Minsk be with them in S tier. So that's why I kind of think he's A tier. But
Yeah,
he's
A tier.
definitely up there. He's A tier. He's trying to get into S tier, but I think he's just kind of getting held out by a couple other gatekeepers saying, "No, we are the real S tiers here this week." A down in A tier.
Okay.
That's what I
Or-
think.
A tier is
But you
A
could
tier
do
is
it.
fine. What do you think, Herman? A
A
tier
tier
is
is
fine.
fine for me. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
I also had Arcturus in A. Artanis, where do we have him?
Artanis is also pretty good. He also has detection that is invisible and summoned on a warp gate, and summoned instantly on a warp gate, and he can conjure a power field. It's like having
Yes.
scan and mobile detection built into the exact same thing,
It's pretty neat.
and your scan is bigger. Yeah, it's neat.
And it's permanent.
Yeah. So, and also, very helpfully, observers can claim locks, which just on this map makes them just infinitely useful.
Quite useful.
There's observers are the best unit on this map. They really are. They're very useful. Yeah, basically you just have to rush out of Robo, and on that it's whatever gateway or
whatever you like
Immortal
doing.
army, whatever. Yeah, just rush out of Robo to get your observers, and yeah,
Letter.
I think we should use P3, right? P3.
yeah. In general, P3 is the best Artanis, but this week there's nothing really stopping you from using whichever prestige you prefer.
Oh.
Yeah, anything's
Yes.
fine.
P1 would work completely fine if you like it, because there's absolutely nothing to stop P1 from working here. So you could just become Mr. Stormman, but with a couple observers.
Bad weather
and
man.
wins.
So letter.
And I would say he's definitely A.
Okay. How about you, Herman?
Yeah, I also think Artanis should be A tier this week.
All right.
Yeah, basically you can, Guardian Shield and Emergency Shield is really good.
It is.
And yes, I still think Dragoonman is better.
Dragoonman.
But I mean definitely plus observers. Yeah, but I mean Tempest is definitely fine. Yes. There is no other mutator strengthen the front, strengthen the enemy. Just build your Robo before your Twilight Console. Yeah, that's the only thing. Yes.
Okay. So Both of you say
Also A
A,
tier.
so I also had him in A. Dehaka, where do we have him?
So Dehaka versus detection, I mean versus remove unseen is a little bit annoying since if your Dehaka is not reaching level 5, you won't have detection for your Dehaka. So early game just snap the rocks. After you get your greater primal worms, and you can also build some primal worms in your base and teleport them to the front line to give you detection. After you get your detection thing, it will be fine for the Haka.
Better.
And yeah, I would say A tier for the Haka.
All right. How about you, Sixbender?
I don't know. A tier feels a little generous for Dehaka because I do actually think that the weak detection on Dehaka is just a little bit too much of a factor, I would say. Yes, you get detection on your hero eventually, but having to, swing that hero around is rather inconvenient when you don't have any alternative aside from your buildings.
I actually agree
And
with
yes,
that
your buildings can
because
your buildings can teleport, but
Lock and Load is such a front-loaded map. It's all early or mid-game. There's no actual late game. So if you're gimped in the early game, that's like half your game gone. That's why I'm iffy. I was actually iffy putting Dehaka really high. After he gets his detection, he's fine, but the whole game is about getting detection. So I also agree with B. But what do you think, Herman? Are you gonna defend A?
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of I definitely agree with what you guys said. This map is really quick. Like if the Haka need to waste like first let's say 6 minutes.
6.
Yeah, or maybe 4 minutes just to become detectable. It's kind of waste of time. You can't do things in the early game.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of agree, I guess. Yeah, I think the time you get detection is when you summon your Glyphic, because Glyphic deals a lot of AoE damage. It just kills a lot of enemy and you get a lot of essence to reach level 5. But before you get Glyphic, well,
I think Gloving
it's
in the
not
first.
good for
I think Gloving in the first Primal Worm come up around the same time. Maybe
Primal Worm will be faster. Yes, Primal Worm will be
Yeah.
faster. It choose the mastery for Primal Worm.
So
I think
Yeah,
B tier is
the problem is that Dehaka usually uses P2 to deal with mutators that disallow him from getting early biomass. But then if he uses P2, his primal pack leaders aren't detectors. So what you can do is you can run into Dehaka and then summon the pack leader, and Dehaka, while he's burrowed off the map, is still a detector in the area where he left the map. But now you have completely static detection and you cannot move him at all, which makes it really awkward to clear up your pack leader because you can't move the detection forward, and you just need to have mass primal worm. You're basically gonna just want to be mass static defense Dehaka here, which doesn't have AoE. So
it'll
again,
work. He's Dehaka.
Some comps against like Zergling comps, it could be rough. I would say honestly, there's a fair argument for C tier Dehaka.
I wouldn't put him that far down. I think B is where he belongs. But I see the argument. I just don't think it's enough of an argument
You can
at
have
all.
some igniters at your base to defend like drops, links, or something. Yeah, and after you get your Morvar, then you can also just have some primal holes in your base to defend the drops. Yeah, that's the things I will use when I fight against aggressive deployment. And after we get what's that called? Darkrin, then we just get Tyrannosaurus. But Tyrannosaurus is like really late game. Not really, but mid game, yes.
Late game for this map. But anyway, can we agree on B, or are we gonna?
I would say B is enough. C is too low, I think.
My argument for C is that if you need to use specialist units and like have those specialist units split up into different positions, that's probably an indication that you're having to work a lot harder than most commanders would. But I'm okay with seeing him in B regardless.
Phoenix, where do we have him?
So Phoenix has he has a hero for detection and he has observers. But these detection sources aren't exactly like you can't get them out very fast if you're going for the standard Caldelis opener. So that's a little bit annoying, but he still has good detection once he actually, gets inconvenienced out of his insanely fast Caldelis early game.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as inconvenient as Dehaka. Nowhere near.
Yeah, no. Yeah, yes. Dehaka is a problem. Phoenix is an inconvenience. Yeah, you could remember. You could literally go for a robo right off the bat. If you want, you can Teldarin opener. Go ahead, Teldarin plus an observer.
It's not that much worse.
Yeah, and honestly, you'll still have your Phoenix suit
Yeah.
at 4 minutes. And on this map, the first attack wave doesn't do anything before 4 minutes. It like takes until 4 minutes before it actually reaches the first lock that they take in the middle. So yeah, get an Russian observer, have your Phoenix suit, maul everything, and
then switch to the Arbiter suit, then recall all your Kaldalis stuff and your ally stuff.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can recall your ally stuff onto locks, and you can keep making observers. And honestly, observers are like almost enough to push everyone who has them up a tier. So I would say Phoenix is A tier.
How about you, Herman?
Yeah, I would say Phoenix can be A tier. Just because his early game is really good. His early game. Just get Immortals and Warbringer. Yeah, all the champions, and probably don't want carriers though. Carrier
They take too long.
Yeah, it's not necessary. Yes. Just there will be a small problem, which is your shell farm might be aimed by the drops.
Oh yes, that's.
But
that's
yeah, it's not really a big problem because we end the game really fast. The early drops are not that strong, so it's not that a big problem in my mind. Just try to end as fast as possible and forget the bonus and teleport your ally. It will be fine.
It'll be fine. So
also, this is the mutation where there's no reason you need to use B2.
That's true. That's actually true. You can even go with first prestige. You can Akundalar.
Yeah, first prestige. You always have your stronger arbiter. Yes.
All right. So A.
Sure. Yes.
Harden Horner. Where do we have him?
Han Horner. Well, his detection unit is Raven. It can be cloaked, and you need some upgrades if you want to teleport it.
You don't need to teleport it. You can just
your-
siege and unsiege it like an observer.
Yeah, siege and siege also fine. Yes. I just want to say that his early game is really rely on your AOE unit, your mines, mag mines, widow mines, and your
true.
strike fighters.
That's true.
And also your what's that called? The wait, what's that unit called? How bad? Yes,
Reaper?
how bad? Just these units have AOEs, and drops comes really fast. If you are not using P1 mines, you need to deploy them earlier. You need to use your strike fighters to push, also to defend the drops and the attack waves. So I think maybe it's a little bit overwhelming for Han Horner for this mutation. So I would say he is probably C tier in my mind. Yes.
What do you think, Sixpender?
What are you on about? This is a great week for Han Horner.
Oh.
Yeah, no, Mag Mines are like more than enough for early games so that you can handle the early game because the early game, remember, the first wave comes quite late on this map. Your Mag Mines don't have to worry too much about detection being a problem that much because they'll just smash into things anyways.
You just need to trigger.
But if you can't see them, the Mag Mines won't be triggered. You need
I
to
believe they trigger on cloaked units, but even if
no,
they'll rush out a detector.
I've seen cloaked outbreak. They come to
Well,
my base. I put them.
The solution to that is just rush out a turret near the.
Yeah, you can rush out. Sorry.
Yeah, turrets or.
That's an inconvenience, not really a pain. I don't think.
That explains a bit.
It's just.
Anyways.
But yeah, I don't think there are.
Explains a bit about the Han Horner Mag Mines and A1 Mag Mines are the same bit. Anyways. But either way, Han Horner, your mag mines are definitely an easy clear on the first wave. That's the first drop should be easily cleared by mag mines. Once you get your army going, you have hit scan units that shoot up and down. That is good. Hit scan units are good for aggressive deployment because they can just deal with things that get dropped on you. Even against Banelings, if you are quick to respond, you can just lift off the Reapers and the enemies do nothing to you because at worst the Scourge killed one Reaper each.
They'll shake their fist angrily.
And Viper doesn't work on the flying Reapers.
Yes, correct. They will try to cast Parasitic Bomb on the Reapers, but then the Parasitic Bomb will get deleted because the Reaper is not a valid target because it's actually a ground unit that is in the air for some reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Wait, so are you saying that when a Phoenix lifts a ground unit, for example, in a 2v2 game, if a Phoenix lifts a ground unit, Can that unit not technically get parasitic bombed by the Viper?
No, it's just that Han and Horner were sloppily coded.
Interesting. So there you have it, guys. In 1v1 or in 2v2, if you have a Viper and a Phoenix, you can't lift an object or you can't lift an enemy and then put parasitic bomb on it. Anyway, letter.
Actually, I'm not sure. It's either you can't put a parasitic bomb on it or you can and it will actually damage it. But it definitely doesn't do the thing where you can put it on it and it'll just be deleted.
Yeah,
it
I know.
definitely won't just delete the
It
parasitic
will.
bomb. That's
The bomb will die. Yeah, the bomb will die. So if there is self-destruction or like fatal attraction, it will pull your Reapers like on the in the center.
Interesting. So I just need the letter, guys.
I would say that they're probably closer to B.
B. Okay, I'm okay with B.
It might be. There's an argument for A. Having a detection which has a tactical jump and a cloak is pretty good. The only downside being that when it's just in mobile mode, it's very flimsy and very visible.
How about you,
I have a question though. I have a question. Can his Raven be dropped by the? Just be aimed by the drops because Hand of Honor's Raven has weapon.
I'm not sure if it counts that as a weapon or not.
Yeah, but I think it's like a really small possibility. Yeah, because you have a lot of Reapers.
Yeah, and I don't actually know if it counts as a weapon or not, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. B tier works fine for me.
All right, Karax, where do we have him?
Karax is very easy.
Yes, he is.
Just make a whole bunch of cannons for cannon section, and you don't even need to see things to vaporize them from orbit.
Lasers.
Space lasers. Cannon pushing space lasers. Space lasers can push as well. Remember, Purifier Beam is a great clearing tool. Purifier Beam plus Solar Lance. Remember that when pushing into bases, Kater and Monoliths are your friend if you're using buildings to push bases. And this map is now Karax's cover of buildings, and anytime anything more than a stray single unit tries to threaten your cannons, you just kind of pulverize it from the sky.
Letter.
Especially if you have V3. I think Karax is S tier.
What do you think, Herman?
No problem with S. Yes.
All right. I initially had Karax in A tier, but both of you say S, so let's say S. Let's go S. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
So Kerrigan has really good detection unit, the Omega Worm.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and it provides mobility for you and your ally. So like if your ally get dropped but he can't deal with it because maybe he can't see it, and you just put a worm and let your Kerrigan go there. Yeah, and Kerrigan can really clear this map really fast. In P2. Yes, in P2. So I think she is also an S tier.
S tier? What do you think, Sixbender?
Yeah, you rush worms. You have a very, very durable detection unit. Just as always, make sure your Kerrigan doesn't die. The consequences here aren't nearly as bad as they are on a lot of maps and mutations, but yeah, it's still pretty bad if Kerrigan dies. So just keep her alive.
Yeah.
Just keep her alive.
And you can also build a lot of wings. Yes.
Yeah, I guess Kerrigan's only weakness is air units, and you can just finish the game before it gets to the point where there are a lot of air units. So, do you guys both say S?
Yeah, it's fine for Kerrigan.
Awesome. I believe that's Kerrigan's first S. Is it?
I don't think so, but maybe.
No, the what's that called? The polarity and the void reanimator. That's S for Kerrigan for that week.
All right. Anyway, Nova, where do we have him?
Detector hero unit that if you're using P3 can clear really, really effectively. If you're not, can do slightly less effectively, but still effective clearing and better wave clear. And your best unit is your Raven anyways, which is a detector. And yeah, Nova's S tier. It's very straightforward.
Yeah.
She's just really good at this.
What mutation? What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think, Herman?
No argument for S.
All right.
Yeah.
Nova just places like normal.
The mutation is called binary choice. The mutation is called binary choice. I still think about that.
All right. Yeah. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor, well, your early game kind of depends on your top bar, but your top bar doesn't have detection. So you either use scans or you use missile turrets, which are the only two detection you have. Yeah, but like if you're like when you're using your Hyperion, you're definitely using scans to shoot see
literally anything.
Yeah, or else it only shoots on buildings.
Oh yes.
Other than that, just like you need time to like become stronger, but there are drops in the early game. It just drops in your natural. You need to either use a top bar or you have like some mines or bunkers plus detections. So I think Raynor just need time to set up. I would say C tier for him. Yeah,
What
C
do you
tier
think,
or B tier.
Sixbender?
I don't know.
What do you think, Sixbender?
Yeah, I'm not high. Yeah, he's probably gonna need to be down in C tier because he does definitely have some really rough time with the whole detection thing. Because as much as scan is great because you can just conjure detection, it's also really expensive to just keep scanning literally everything you want to shoot at.
All right.
So probably C tier Raynor makes sense. Yeah.
All right. Stat boy.
Sorry, Jimmy.
S. Let's move on.
Is he?
Is he not? Come on, Super
No,
Gary's
I don't think
detection.
so.
What would he
Yeah,
not
Super
be?
Gary's detection.
How would he not
Yeah.
be S tier?
Mostly because of the problem with Super Gary being an air unit that things will just kind of be like, oh, hi, Super Gary. Oh, bye, Super Gary. We're going to go walk away and start nibbling your base now.
No, they won't. They'll just get Egorbed and die. They don't have super speed, do they? Aggressive deployment, Twister.
No,
Yeah,
no.
they'll just get Egorbed and die.
Aggressive deployment can definitely lead to some problems in your bases.
Oh, yes.
You'll
because,
definitely. I would definitely say. I think Stetmann is very good. I do not think he is to the level of the current S tiers. Actually, believe it or not.
We can finish the game in like 8 minutes, but okay. If you guys don't agree, then I just defer. What do you think, Herman?
Well, I think he can be S. Like,
Right?
It's not a big problem with the detection for drops. You can also build like spores in your
A spore,
base.
a single spore, or a single overseer or something.
Yeah,
You just,
overseer need gas.
so you just build a spore.
Yes, it's also
Yeah, you
fine.
definitely will want to build spores.
Yes.
Then just
I think
have
maybe
a
people
camp.
kind of forget that boy has spores.
Just
Yeah.
build a camp at the central lock, like couple spores, then zerglings, then any extra waves will spawn there, then they'll fight the extra waves, then Gary does the rest of the map. I don't see what's so difficult about this. I guess the only difficult part is he can't pull his ally to the lock, like Nova
Yeah, can't
can.
teleport your
Nova
Yeah,
can be
Nova.
like, no, you cap the lock. And Statboy can't do that. Similar to Kerrigan though. Kerrigan can suggest that the ally be at the lock. Kerrigan can't force her ally like Nova can. But
Yeah,
anyway,
she can't.
do you guys wait? Sixbender, do you insist on A? Okay, it's not
Yeah, I
unanimous.
don't-
Yeah, but I just think the early game is really strong for Subway, and
It is
the
not so
early
early
drops
game.
isn't that yeah.
If you're
isn't
Gary,
that annoying.
You'll never need to get out of the early game because Gary's all you need. But anyway, yeah, if Sixbender doesn't say S, then it can't be S because it has to be unanimous.
I think he probably could be S. He would just be like the bottom of S here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still okay with that.
Yeah. Bottom
I don't
S
know.
is
I'm just so not entirely sold about him having the lack of hit points on the floor early on, but it's fine. Probably.
Stukov, where do we have him?
Stukov is gonna join Jimmy. He's got really painful getting early detection with Stukov because you have to get up to a factory, so you probably want to use P1, right? And if you're using P1, getting up to that factory and that early detection, then you're going to be having
Oh yes.
slightly rough early game. Your top bar is going to need the detection to be, carefully at a nice following distance because Amon will happily prioritize shooting your detection over shooting your top bar.
Or you can just Ocular Symbiote.
Yeah, you can Ocular
that also
Symbiote.
works.
But the problem is, by the time you get Ocular Symbiote, half the commanders have already cleared the map.
That's true. That's
Like-
absolutely true.
Yeah, and even then, your Ocular Symbiote has to be constantly reapplied. Queens are fragile.
You
Like,
don't-
it's
you
not
don't-
that you don't have detection options. It's that your detection options aren't great.
You-
It's just kind of like how Jimmy eventually has enough orbitals that he doesn't care about the fact that he has to constantly scan everything. He can just scan away to his heart's content. But
So you don't
I
lose
think
to-
that Stukov just joins Jimmy.
You don't lose to Amon here. You just get carried by someone who's half as good as you just because he used any one of the better commanders. Something like that.
Yeah, Stukov and Jimmy are friends today.
All right. How about you, Herman? Do you agree?
Yes. By the way, I think Stukov should be my turn, but it's fine. Yes, it's fine. Yeah, it's just his detection isn't that
Got hijacked.
great either. So C tier works really fine for me.
All right. How about you? Or rather, how about Swann?
Swann. Yes, sorry about hijacking Jimmy.
It's fine. It's fine.
It cannot be
Swann.
forgiven. You will be spanked thoroughly by Swann.
Swann has buildings that can see and also buildings that shoot things. So the defense side of Swann is pretty easily covered. The offensive laser drill thing is
Would be
still
painful.
a thing. It's just that you can't use floating factories anymore because factories can't see. You have to make a pair of science vessels and have them sit there healing each other, and you have to be much more careful with them because they're more expensive and more fragile. But oh well, still works.
That sounds like a Stukov problem, kind of, because you need to tech up
No.
to science vessels.
Not really.
Yeah, because the difference here is that you have an early game that your turrets can just completely carry easily, whereas Stukov always has a weak early game. Aggressive deployment by itself already is a significant threat for Stukov. It is not a threat at all for Swann.
All
Like,
right.
even without detection, Stukov is threatened by aggressive deployment. I probably should have made that a little bit more strongly clarified, but yes,
Yeah.
Stukov is down there because of the combination of aggressive deployment being a pain for his very weak early game that is like entirely dependent on his top bar, just like how Jimmy's early game is entirely
Cool.
dependent on his top bar.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he has weak detection, which is now being strapped together with the fact that he's completely top bar dependent in his early game. They're a rough time. Swann, you just build turrets and you're not gonna die. You're just going to be slowed
slower.
down.
So anyway,
yeah, you're just gonna
letter.
be slower.
I just need the letter.
B? I guess it's B.
Could be A, but probably only.
All right, I'm okay
Yeah,
with
like
that.
his pushing isn't good. Yes.
Tychus, where do I have him?
So
Probably A.
Tychus,
Right.
I would say any prestige is fine for Tychus. For this week, you can still use P2 even though there's cloaked drops. But P0 or P1 or maybe P3 are also fine for him for this week.
How do you
Just
push?
get serious.
How do you solo push with Tychus without detection?
Throw in a grenade and run away.
That's not pushing. That's just hitting and running. That's not pushing.
But you are pushing with your series on the other.
Yeah,
Or
everyone
else you can also
knows.
just
Everyone knows you can solo push with Sirius because he has detection. But with Tychus, on Tychus' side, you're not
you
pushing.
can put like
You're hitting and running.
You can put like two turrets with your Tychus and run your series away, and then you use Tychus to tank the damage, and turrets give the detection. That's also
I'd rather.
also work.
I'd rather.
You can also
Yeah, but
question
rather
why
not
you're pushing
using
with Tychus at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, not using Tychus at all is also fine. Anyway, any precision fine.
Letter.
I would say A tier for Tychus this week because your series can run out of turrets if you're not in P2 because turrets are not that tanky if you're not using P2.
I'm actually,
You kind of need to protect your turrets.
I'm actually thinking any other prestige for Tychus would be fine. I would just not use the second prestige here because I do not want to have Tychus just being a hit and run guy. I'd rather have all the guys pushed together. But I understand that you can go the second prestige Lone Wolf if you really, really want to go hit and run with Tychus, but I'd rather just have all the guys together.
Either prestige is fine. Yes, either prestige.
How about you, Sixbender?
If you go Lone Wolf, Tychus isn't hit and run. He's the base defense. He's the over-glorified
He's the
turret
base
standing behind
defense.
the turret that you have a
Yeah,
detection
build some
turret,
turrets.
and then you have the Tychus turret standing in front of it.
Tychus
The
turret.
is tanky, and he has a whole bunch
Yes.
of damage, and he has splash damage. So all the waves that go for your base get grenaded and die. Meanwhile, Sirius goes and wins the game, while Tychus makes sure you don't die. That's just how it works that way.
You know what Tychus would say to that? Great. I love babysitting. That's what he would say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what he would say. Anyway,
Yeah,
Congratulations, Tychus. You're the babysitter. Have fun.
letter.
Yeah, it's A. A makes sense.
All right.
Any prestige is fine. A makes sense.
Vorazun, where do we have him?
Yes.
Oh look, it's that Protoss who can't see again. Our detection is not great. Oracles like to get sniped.
Yes, they do.
Mass is a thing.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
And only be able to see. But early on, you might actually, or probably actually, will need cannons for early detection. Thank goodness the first wave doesn't go for your base until near 5 minutes. You can't time stop on this map without heavily inconveniencing your ally because now there will be random trickle of units towards locks, and it basically, if you and your ally are actually claiming locks properly, then it's not that big a deal.
Yes.
If your ally is refusing to actually claim the lock, it becomes a bit bigger of a deal.
Yes. I'm
Because
actually.
basically the problem with Vorazun is that it basically makes it so that Amon will continue trickling more stuff towards locks as if he owned the locks, even when you own the locks. This is not too
Yes.
bad, but it can add up over time if you don't have
Sufficient
basically static
defense,
defense
yeah.
stuck at every single lock.
Yes.
I'm actually a
So-
proponent
Like
of. I'm actually a proponent of actually just using time stop on this map, and just getting defenses up, like 5 cannons
Yeah.
or something at each lock, would be enough to hold off most anything. And the benefit of having extra shadow guard and enemies frozen just so outweighs the cost of having to build 5 cannons or so at each lock.
I need time to set up.
Especially on a commander who does not have mineral problems because she's entirely gas limited and will probably have several thousand minerals just lying around doing nothing.
Exactly.
So cannons. Yeah, I agree with using time stop and making cannons. I definitely agree with that method. That's what I usually go for Vorazun too, is I just use time stop anyways, and I just make cannon. That said,
and time stop can detect, so
for literally inconveniencing the map by her existence because bugs and having very poor detection, I think she can be relegated to C tier nonetheless.
I would bump her up to B tier just because she has the power of ally. You have to be here at the lock.
With the Dark Pylon recall?
Yes. Just for that. Just for that. It's such a lifesaver. For that reason, I probably have Nova at the top of S tier this week, but I've had too many guys who just tunnel vision on the bonus, send all their forces and then die, and I'm just ping-ponging back between the northwest and the southeast locks, or the southeast entrances, and keeping all the waves in check. Meanwhile, my allies just continuously dying at the bonus. I really
you
like.
could just kill it for him, especially with Vorazun. If you have P3 Vorazun, you
It's
just use
not
your time
about-
stop there.
It's
wall
not
of shadow
about.
guards, dead.
It's not about the
Get back.
EXP. It's not about the EXP. It's about sending a message that no, no, it is actually just a waste of time. It is actually so not worth it to extend the time by that much. And again, if you're Vorazun, you probably can't finish the map that quickly either way, so maybe there is some merit to just doing the bonus for your ally. It's so chunky though, my goodness. But anyway, I would still put a premium on Vorazun just for the fact that she can actually force her ally to be at the locks. But I'm still okay with C if you guys say C, but I just personally have her slightly higher than C. How about you, Herman?
I think she is C tier for this week though. Yeah, just because of bugs and not good detector. Yeah, not really good detection unit.
For me, if I were to argue for C, I can see the argument for C tier, but it's not because the time stop bugs the map. I've already mentioned that. You can just perfectly...
Don't forget if the AI is Terran, there will be Ravens, science vessels.
Oh yes.
Drops,
even
so...
that notwithstanding, the thing that really makes this annoying for Vorazun is just the fact that the oracles die so easily. They just can't survive. They just can't. That's what makes her C for me, not all that other stuff. But yeah, I can see both of you guys' points. So C it is. Zagara, where do we have him?
So Zagara, well, you have something that can defend the drops.
The thing.
Kind of well, but not that well. And you don't need to actually see the enemy, right? It deals AoE damage and it also shoots up. But the reality is that it needs time to set up. So your early game, you still need Zagara herself and some of your free baiting if you need them to defend the drops, and you also need spores or overseers, and after that you get some bio-launchers who help you defend if you need them. Because Zagara's detector is not faster enough comparing with your links or baitings, right? The movement speed of overseer is not that fast. So you don't actually have something to tank for the air. So your overseers might be easily to kill. But you still have some static defense to defend you and your ally base. I think she can be A tier for this week.
How about you, Stickbender?
Surprised that after mentioning all those weeks that are all the way up in A, I would say she's close to. I would say close to B. She's not bad at all, but she's not amazing. As for the overseer thing, if you need something in front of your overseers, you always can make corruptors. There's nothing really wrong with making a couple corruptors. Ever since they now explode and discourage upon death, it's not actually such a terrible thing. And also, remember, overseer speed does exist. It makes them a lot closer to your Zergling speed, and I think it actually makes them very close to Baneling speed. If you get overseer speed, overseer speed is good.
Yeah.
Overseer speed is a good thing to get. Otherwise, yes, overseers are very slow.
I agree with A tier personally, but go ahead.
I don't think that she's quite A tier because she doesn't have any special features of her detection. It's it's still fully visible. She can't just summon it, right? Meg's has his top bar as a detector, and he doesn't even need to see for ESOs to kill everything. But his like detonated strike is detection. Alarak has warp gate cloak detection. Artanis has warp gate cloak detection, and he can conjure the power field anywhere. Phoenix can summon the arbiter anywhere for detection. Tychus can medevac over detection, which is a little bit weaker, but Tychus is like enough raw strength of just slamming Sirius into the entire mission that it makes up for it. Zagara doesn't have anything like that.
I don't think it needs
She
to be
can't
something
beat tunnel or
special.
detection.
I don't think it needs to be anything special about the detection. It just needs to be functional enough that the commander can just barrel through the map like usual.
Then that sounds more like Swann or Han and Horn.
I don't know. That actually does slow them down though. The fact that they do have to get the science vessel and the I don't think.
It slows Zagara down that she can't just use hunter killers from the moment Zagara spawns. She
Well,
needs to get detection
the difference is overseers cost like 50 gas or something, whereas science vessels cost like what 300 or something.
200 if not.
Yeah, you have to make
300.
two though. You have to make two so they
Not
can
really.
heal each
you
other.
You make two so they're tanky enough to not have to like worry about being sloppy. Overseers don't have the ability to heal each other at all, and also
Use queens to heal.
you need those overseers. You need that detection for early waves, whereas Swann just slaps down a missile turret.
You can siege up the overseer, make him see further.
Yeah, plus Zagara has. You have to tech up to overseers with as much gas as teching up to like tech up is the same gas cost either way because factory didn't cost any gas for Swann. So it's just a starport cost. No, I think that her detection is definitely not great here. It's not strong detection. She seems like she's like matched with the B tier commanders, and if Zagara is A, then like all of B tier should be A.
All right.
Except maybe Dehaka.
Yeah,
maybe Dehaka would be below, but no.
All right.
No.
Okay.
I don't think Zagara's like got anything to distinguish her as an A, whereas like everyone in A tier has actually got reason to be above Zagara.
All right. So what do you think, Herman?
Agreed. Yes.
So B, putting Zagara back in B.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Zeratul, where do we have him?
Cannons can see.
Cannons can see.
Cannons are strong.
They can teleport.
They can teleport.
And Zeratul can spin to kill things. If you use P3 Zeratul, you could just spin to win. Your tornadoes chase cloaked units even if you don't have detection of them. So yeah, cannons and spinny boy.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tutu had a no mining run here, but
yeah,
letter.
Very easy. S, obviously. Very strong.
Yes.
Very easy.
So both of you say S?
Yes.
All right. I had him in A, but
Really easy.
S makes perfect sense. Rankings. Who's top of S?
Okay, well, Stetmann's the
Nova?
bottom. Nova might be the top.
I think Nova's top because
Kerrigan
she has
too.
the power of ally. You have to be here.
I think Kerrigan's actually better.
You think Kerrigan's better?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, worms can keep. Firstly, worms actually keep the waves from immediately getting to the locks because they're like punching worms first, which means it's inconveniences Amon from claiming the locks while your ally is slowly, eventually remembering that the main objective exists. Kerrigan's hero unit is it's slightly higher consequence if she dies than Nova, actually quite a lot higher consequence, but she's much more durable. She's much more robust, like more capable of soloing entire attack waves with just a hero and not having to worry about adding units. She has if you are P2, the lightning kazaps will hit cloaked units even if you can't detect them. And if you are P3, you can decloak them with your crushing grip. Immobilization wave actually decloaks enemies, much like time stop does. Yeah, I think the Kerrigan is very solid.
Well, I think Nova's better because with the third prestige, she can just rain down sabotage drones all over the enemy's base. And for wave, she can just drop airstrikes or use her army, which is also good, by the way. Not like Kerrigan's, but...
True. Yes.
And with Nova, your clearing is essentially risk-free because you don't have to run in and get shot at. You can walk in, not get shot at, and then explode the entire enemy space. Again, risk-free.
A lot slower, though.
I wouldn't say a lot slower. Is it a lot slower? Once the defenders are gone, you can just waltz your army in and then just shoot the buildings.
P2 Kerrigan is very fast. That's all I can say to that. And also Nova's A-move army is also pretty not great, but her microed army is actually good.
Yes.
If you have, the spellcasters, Ravens,
Liberators.
Liberators.
Yeah, Liberators.
Yeah.
Of course I was talking about those. What would you think I was talking about? Marines or something? Anyway.
Something that you can A-move, but then it's bad, so it's like,
I didn't say
It's
A-move.
not
Come on.
terrible.
But anyway, what really sets Nova apart from me is, Ally, you have to be here. End the map!
That's a 2-minute cooldown. Your ally, if they're using F2, will just leave.
How is it? Is it actually a 2-minute cooldown?
It's a 2-minute
Yeah. Yeah, 2
You know,
minutes.
from my
It's not P2.
from my experience, it's only really the last lock that allies tend to delay. They're usually good about capturing the first 4. It's just really the last one that they just don't send units over. So you only really
Those
need
are
it once.
interesting allies. I'm usually having trouble with everything past the first one.
You do?
That or none of them.
Oh.
There's no middle ground I find. But
Interesting.
anyways,
I don't know. I still
Um,
think Nova's top of S because yeah, that ally you have to be here, and she can just airstrike again, risk free. For the waves, her army has their own detection with the Ravas. Again, I recognize that Omegrums can also provide detection for your ally. That I don't knock that against
Megaworms can be
Kerrigan.
conjured anywhere.
Can be
Very
conjured
good.
anywhere, and there are structures they can
Yeah.
tank. That's why Nova's.
Yeah, it's like Artanis.
That's why
Observer,
Kerrigan's.
though.
That's why
You
Kerrigan's
can-
an S.
Yes. I think Kerrigan is still the best, but if the difference between Kerrigan and Nova isn't consequential enough to make a huge deal over it.
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
Okay, so let's just use Herman as a tiebreaker. Herman, who do you think is actually better between Nova and Kerrigan?
Okay. Yeah, I think Kerrigan probably better. Yes.
All right, so Kerrigan's top of S, then Nova's next. Who's next? Karax or Attack or
Zeratul.
Zeratul? Oh yeah, Zeratul.
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 Then Karax and Stetboy.
And then Karax and that boy. Yes.
All right, who's top of A?
Top of A, I would say Alarak.
I think Phoenix.
Definitely not Phoenix. I think the bottom 2 are ordered correctly right now.
I think Phoenix because he
Yeah,
can
yeah.
force his ally to be there.
That's not the
Yeah,
whole
but-
point for the
For me,
mutation, though.
90% of
About
lock and
mutation.
load is that just forcing your ally to be at the lock. My goodness. 90% of my
What
lock
is-
and load
what
lanes
Alarak
are just
was-
waiting for my
Alarak-
ally to
Alarak
stand
was
at the
good.
last lock. I don't think the mutation is difficult enough that I'd be worried about anything else. But anyway, what do you guys think? Who's the best among the A tiers?
Kind of close between the 3 who are already the top 3.
So
It's hard to pick one favorite.
I think the first 2 are better than Artanis, though. That's in my mind.
I don't know.
Because
Artanis
Artanis, you know.
there's observers that summon instantly anywheres, and if you
yeah,
if you are not using P3, the observers even have Guardian Shell to really make sure your detection isn't going offline.
Yeah, and
like-
your ally have a guardian shell. Yes.
Plus the ability to just summon, like for aggressive deployment, just being able to spontaneously summon
Oh yeah.
is pretty good. Artanis is like really well suited for this.
Oh,
I don't know.
I saw
But-
maybe the AI will be a problem if like the AI is really bad, but maybe it's not though.
Not
Yeah.
too bad. The worst case scenario, like Artanis has actually got an answer for every comp, unlike some commanders. It's just that sometimes he might, or if you're not comfortable with all of Artanis's units, he will potentially force you out of your comfort zone to counter certain comps. Is the only problem.
Oh yeah.
I
So-
actually
Yes.
like
Basically,
Alarak's-
Artanis, unlike some commanders, some comps are just really bad. For Artanis, some comps just force you to use a unit you're bad at using. That's the difference.
I actually like Alarak's method of just why do I need attacking?
Alarak's
I'll just kill them without
Alarak's
you being able to see them.
Alarak's early game is very strong, and his arm waving without needing to see them is very helpful.
Yeah, I'm
Can-
like
can
why do I
Alarak
need
solo this
detection?
mutation without building detection?
He probably
Um,
can. He probably has. He probably will again.
Okay.
But
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a no detection solo of this mutation. There's been harder mutations that have been no detection soloed with we move unseed
yeah,
by Alarak. Alarak's good at no detection. Alarak's probably the top. Structure overcharge also helps a lot because it can allow you to be like, hey, you know how my ally was having trouble in their base? Not anymore.
Yeah, just build some detection.
All
and
right.
Then use it. Yes.
all right. So Alarak.
Yeah, I
top
think
of
the
A.
order is fine. Right? The order is fine.
So-
Alarak, Artanis, Arcturus.
I'm a bit.
Yeah, Mercs need time to set up.
I'm ambivalent between Arcturus and Artanis. So I'll let you guys finish sort this one out.
Yeah, I think Alarak, Artanis, Arcturus, Phoenix, Tychus is a good ordering.
Okay, yeah.
All right,
that's
so it's
fine
already
for me.
correctly ordered. Okay, so who's top of B?
Maybe
Swann?
Swann or Abathur.
Swann or Abathur?
Yeah.
I think Swann is like really good at like you don't care about drops because you kill them, but the pushing part is really slow.
You already know who my vote goes to based on what we've talked about before. Come on, can't you guess? You probably already know it.
Dehaka.
No, it's Abathur because he can force his ally to be at the locks.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
that's always my
that's
vote
very-
is.
That is a very slow and unreliable way of forcing your ally to be at the locks, but I
Still.
guess.
Still, That's why it's B. Not S. That's why it's B.
Experience. That would be a painful experience. Anyways,
Oh man.
I think Swann Abathur.
Swann Abathur?
Maybe.
I don't have a problem with Swann being top of B. Because he's Swann again.
Yeah, I think Swann can be B though. But for Abathur, you need some skills. If you don't really know how to play this commander, it might be a problem. Yeah.
After that, I think
it's Han and
Dehaka.
Horner, Dehaka, Zagara. I'd say Han and Horner.
Han and Horner over Dehaka?
Yep.
Okay.
Because Dehaka's early game is just gonna be a whole bunch of I can't see.
Yeah, I punched rocks.
I don't think
And you
Zagara
hope
should be
your Alan
this
punch
low.
rocks.
I think Zagara should at least be higher than Dehaka. Because it is an early game oriented map. I don't think she will run out of stuff. Zagara's problem is usually she runs out of stuff, and I don't think this mutation, aggressive deployment. No, I think Banks would be fine against this, but
You'll run out of
Banks,
stuff
definitely.
pretty fast if your stuff doesn't have detection with it. But yeah, fair enough. Zagara can be above Dehaka. I'm fine with that. But I think Han and Horner is in the middle of B tier right now.
all right. And of course, you know who my vote is for top of C.
Okay.
Vorazun, yay. In all seriousness, I actually would say Vorazun either way.
All right.
Actually. So, yeah.
So Raynor,
and
Stukov? Stukov's the bottom. Well,
Stukov's the bottom.
I mean,
Stukov's having
Yeah.
a bad day.
bottom being, bottom is still C tier, which is still decent. Anyway, do we have any combinations of B and C commanders? Who could work better than just one S tier commander?
Unfortunately, all the people with good eyeballs are an A, so they can't become good eyeballs for the C tiers who have bad eyeballs.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's
I'd rather have one S tier than two Bs or a B or a C. So I think that's this week's mutation tier list. Oh wait, one more. Is there anyone who's gonna be double S for this week?
Nah.
No? Alright. So
Nah.
that's gonna do it for this week's mutation tier list. Watch Styxbender and Herman's channels. I will link it down below, and I'll see you guys next time.